Hi everybody, I'm Lisanne Miller with W, Cushing and Company, and welcome to Third Thursdays with Lisanne in coordination with Rug Hooking Magazine. I hope that you all got your winter issue of your Rug Hooking Magazine. And this is a very nice issue, bright colors, nice. And I have to brag a little bit about one person, and that's First Rug, Last Page. Please look at that. That was Betty Lobb. She's one of my students, and this was her first rug, and it's on the last page. She did a great job. The story of how she came about the pattern, wonderful. And starting in December, she's working on her third year of rug hooking, and she's never looked back. And the bigger the better the rugs for Betty, so great. And if you have a first rug for the last page, please submit it to Rug Hooking Magazine because it really inspires a lot of people. So, I hope you've all hooked your Celtic pumpkins from last month. We went over different color plans, different things. As everybody knows, I did not hook the background on mine. And now we're going to put it onto a frame. Now, when you go, and you can buy a 16 by 18 frame, and these are painter's canvases. It's really not a frame. It's called a painter's canvas. And to be honest with you, the cheaper the canvas, the better, because if it's a cheaper canvas, it's a heavier canvas, and we want it to be a heavy canvas so it will hold up our hooked rugs. And this applies not only to the Celtic pumpkin, but for anything you would like to frame. I know some of you had trouble finding the 16 by 18 of these canvases, and I will tell you they are on Amazon.com, so look them up. Again, don't spend a lot. You're not painting on it. You're using it as a foundation. So, sometimes this is a two-person deal, and I do use a staple gun, no glue. If you don't have a staple gun, you may ask for one in your stocking this holiday season. So, with that being said, what I like to do is I've already pulled two sides. You work this one side and the second side at a time. And you start by putting a first staple in the middle, then you pull very tightly over here, you put a second staple in the middle. Then you move down, about 3 or 4 inches, pull it tight, staple. Go to the other side, pull it tight, staple. And then you keep looking because there is a line and you don't want the line to show. But we go side to side. I don't go top to bottom, I go side to side, then I go bottom to top. The reason I go bottom to top is if this is off by a little bit, you really don't see it as much because it is on the top, but the bottom you could see. So the main thing is side to side first. You can put your staples in this way. You can put your staples in that way. You can also mix them as I've done here. I've gone one way then another, one then another, just to make the pressure a little more even. So once I get done with this side, then I will start on the bottom and I will pull it. And again, I will pull it in the middle, okay? And I will pull it up in the middle just to look. I always like to look before I staple, and I'm way off. So I've got to adjust a little bit. And this is where you have to work on this for your first staple. And you just want to make sure that your lines are even and that they can't be seen. Now, it doesn't mean that the whole line has to be, just means where you're putting that first staple. So with that, and then with this, I'm okay. So I'm going to go in the center. I'm going to pull it really tight, just like that. You can always take the staples out, and that's an okay thing. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to go sideways. Make sure you lay it flat and then you staple. Okay, that went up a little bit because I didn't have it down flat, but that will also let it ease up. Then I'm going to go down into this one here. Just like that. Staple gun tried to run off the table. How dare. All right, and I'm going to pull it very tight. And you're going to think, man, I'm pulling this tight. But you have to, okay? and you really want to. And I will go over another way to do this as soon as I put this staple in, and you can see how this works. So I'm going to put in my second staple. I'm going to pull it very, very tight. Sometimes, like I said, it's a two-person job, and put it in. And now I can continue going back and forth, making sure that the line does not show. Okay, or it shows just a little bit, and that's okay. Now, suppose you don't want to do this. You don't want the linen on the side. Then what you would do is you would finish it in a typical fashion with wool. You would put a wool binding on. The bias tape does not fit around the canvas. So you would put about a 2 to 3 inch wool binding, cut down your linen, wrap it, and then this all would be wool in an accompanying fabric. I want mine to be a little more boho, a little more modern, so I really don't want the wool. But if you did, and just say we use this wool here, what you would do, you sew it right sides together, okay? Sew it right sides together, let a little bit show, and then staple it onto the back. It gives it a little bit more of a finished edge. I would not apply it after, but you would hand sew it on first, then start your stapling process to the canvas. Now, after it's all stapled and aligned and you're happy with it, you're still not done. And you have to miter your corners. You can miter your corners in a few different ways. You can do what we call a simple fold, just like this, okay? And this allows you to leave a little bit of linen in case because nobody's going to see this, in case you want in the future to make this into a pillow or take it off the canvas. Don't cut your linen too short. So you would put this in, and you would put it in real tight, just like that. And that's how one way to miter your corner, and make sure that this is tight in there. The other way, because you would have both of these stapled, is to then cut out the bulk and miter it the way you would do a quilt. Now, for some reason with the linen and not having it done with wool, it doesn't go as nicely, and also because it's not stapled. But you would cut out the bulk, then fold it over, just like that. This would be cut, this right here would be cut, and then fold it over. I do like to do just a square corner, because by doing just a square corner, you can control this a little bit more, leaves you more linen in case you want to take it off the canvas and do something else with it in the future. So now you've got everything done. Everything is stapled, everything is done. It's as tight, and you can tell how tight I have this just by going across. This is not a heavy piece. This is kind of a lighter piece. But you still want to take the precautions that it won't sag. So then what you're going to do is you're going to take a marker in here, and you're going to do this. You're going to make a dash. Just like that. You're going to make a dash. You're going to make a dash just like this. And you're going to make a dash just like this. Okay? Then you're going to take a needle and thread, but not a tapestry needle, not a binding needle, a regular sewing needle and regular thread. And from the back, you're going to stitch this. So you will go down and back through the canvas so that you can have it stitched on. It has to be done after this is all done, and then it is stitched. Your stitches can be 2 to 3 inches apart. They don't have to be an inch. They can be about this wide, even 4 or 5 inches. You're just taking a long running stitch and going one way, cut it off, go the other. You will not see it on the other side, and that allows the rug now to be snug to the canvas. So that is your last step, okay? And then it'll be ready to hang. Once I have this all stapled and sewn, I will post a picture on Rug Hooking Magazine's page. So I hope that you will use this technique, because it's another way, if you use mixed media or if you do smaller pieces, you have enough pillows, you don't want another pillow, but it's another way to hang your artwork, and I think it will look very, very pretty. So let's go on to the second piece of this, which was supposed to be last month, but we kind of pushed it to this month, and of course, why not? It's November. All right. How the size of your cut can affect the look of your hooking. So what I have here, this wool, this is the wool right here, like this. And here it is in a 4, okay? I have my handy strip sizer, and there's 2 rows here. So here's my 4, there's my 6, okay, there's my 6, there's my 8, and there's my 8.5. Now, with each size cut, as we go up, size of cut is a tool in our toolbox. You see more of the texture. So when people ask me what size cut should I use, a lot of times if you're using textures is how much of the texture do you want to show will delineate what you would like. And you can decide that by laying your strip sizer right on your texture. So if I just want skinny little pieces of gold, I would cut it in a 4, a little bit more, a 6. When I get to here, if I want this to really come out as a line, I can cut it as an 8.5. So using your strip sizer with your plaid, it tells you what will show. It's a great tool to use. But you can mix the size of your cuts as much as you would like. Here is a leaf, just a plain old leaf, nothing to it. This is not a drawn-on leaf, and I'm going to draw to show you how it started. So it started just like that. That's the center. And I went out, out, just in straight lines. This is a great practice. This is a good way for you to see the different size cuts. So we make one arc, and you can make as many little branches off of it, okay? So there you go. This could be a pine branch, but it turned into a leaf. So you pick what you want. In this case, I picked my 8.5 because I wanted my vein to be predominant. So this is an 8.5. So I came down the center with my 8.5. I also went out each side with my 8.5, just like that. Then I decided that I liked it, it looked good, but I really didn't want to continue with the 8.5 because it would close some of these gaps for background. So then what I did is I looked and I said, ooh, a 6 would work. I've used an 8. As you can see, I've used an 8 right here. Ooh, let me put a 6 next to it on each side. Oh, I have plenty of room now. So I cut a 6 and I put it on each side. So there you have that. But if you notice, look how different it looks with the different cuts. That is how you use the tools in your tool belt by the size of your cut. So I went with my 8 and then I went with my 6. Actually, it was an 8.5. Let's go back and check. Yep, 8.5 and a 6. Oh, maybe that's an 8. That's an 8. And this one is a 6. See, when I went up to the top, I went and did a 6. So there's 3 cuts in this one. But here's my 8.5, here's my 8.5, and then I mixed 6, 8, 8, 6, and I went around it just like this. Just like that. No, and I'm getting a leaf. See how this turns into a leaf? And you could do it, now if you wanted it to have more texture, you could do the whole thing in an 8.5. But by mixing it, you get that different look. This one I didn't want I wanted to show a difference. I didn't want that distinctive vein. There is a vein in there, but it's cut in a 4, so it blends in. So I cut the 4, I hooked it in, I cut everything here. This one is a 4 coming off, but then the outside is a 6. So I used 4 and 6 on this. So I came down here with my 4s, ran it. This is all 4s now. Notice you don't get as much of the texture. You're getting hints of color. So if you just want hints of color, there you go. Then I came around after my 4 with a 6, so I got a little bit more, still not a lot, but enough to give me definition. So this is a leaf that has a little more oomph to it. This one might be a couple of weeks older and gone through one of the storms, not as much oomph. But that's a very simple way to test to see what you like. Also, it's a fun practice if you have a leaf rug or even a pine bough rug. This is a great way to use up or use different size cuts, test what you like. But you can see there's a stark difference. Neither one is right, neither one is wrong. It's what you like. So 8.5, 8, then a 8.5 and a 6. This is a 4 and a 6. Again, mottled color, a little bit more defined as a texture. So when you're looking at your textures and you're deciding what you want to do, just say you wanted to use this one, maybe a leaf, maybe a pine branch, and you say, well, I think I'm going to stick with my 6. And you look at what your 6 does. You can get 2 there, probably 1 there. Okay, I like that little blend of color. Oh, yep, the little bit of lavender's there. Okay, that's going to give me 1 solid line. Well, I may need it. I may have to set it aside. But if I go with an 8.5, I'm getting bulk of color, which may not work for a pine bough. But now I lay my 8.5 in here, and here I get 2 distinct noodles out of it. And you can keep doing that. And now I've split this line so I get the colors on each line. So I don't have just a distinct line. So that's a good way for you to take your strip sizer, look at your texture. It also works with an even check, such as this. This is an even check. And you want to see, you may not want this to be predominant, but you want this to be stained glass windows or reflections on snow, hence its name, reflections. So you can see if you just want little reflections, the 4 is going to do it. The 6 gives you a little bit more. Okay, that was a 5, but a 6 gives you more. 5 is okay. 6 gives you a halo effect. But now when you start to go to an 8, you're going to start hitting, or 7, and this is a 7. If you go to an 8, you're going to hit that gray line right on, and you may not want that. So you may want to stick, if you're looking for stained glass windows or reflections on snow, with a 6 or a 5, maybe even a 7, but I don't know if you'd want to go to an 8. So when you lay your textures out and look at them, and measure with your strip sizer, it lets you see what you're going to get, what color-wise, what you're going to get out of this texture. Lights and shadows, one of our favorites. I love to over dye this, but it's also great for snow, for windows. So if you want to do windows and you need to put 3 or 4 rows where your windows are, you're going to look at this and you're going to go 1, 2, 3. Ooh, I can use a 6 or a 5. That works. But if I use an 8, I'm only getting 2. So this is a way for you to use your plaid. You could mix your cuts. So if you use this as a 6 and this is somewhere else in the rug, you could use it as an 8 or go down to a 4. So these are all just different ways. Again, another plaid that you can dissect, but you can also use the size of your cut. Great for borders, great for backgrounds. Maybe you don't want the orange to be predominant lines, or maybe you do if you're doing leaves. So then you go right here, let's see, oh, a 6 would work for that, but I'd like that as a predominant line. Okay, I'm going to cut that in a 4. So you can keep going and looking between the strip sizer and what you want to achieve it by mixing your cuts. It's a great tool in our tool belt. Now stripes are the same. Somebody had asked me about striped wool. You can cut across your stripe. This way you're only going to get your little flecks of colors. And this is a striped herringbone, forest of trees, because it is every color of a tree in a forest. So you're only going to get your herringbone in flecks of color. If you cut down your stripe, you will get different colors that you can separate. And if you were to mix a 4, a 5, and a 6, you'll get different cuts, but you'll use your entire stripe. And then you could hook a pine tree. So, different ways to use it. It works on plaids, it works on stripes, and the size of your cut, by mixing the size of your cut, allows you to get the look that you would like. Flecks of color, more defined, a little bit chunkier, a little bit more predominant, it doesn't matter. Just take a piece of your scrap linen, and I'll draw it one more time so you have that, because it can be a pine bough or it can be a leaf. And you just first make an arc like that, as long as you would like, and then you just make arcs off of it, as many as you would like at different lengths, just like that. If you filled this in with forest of trees in different size cuts, you would have a pine bough. Very simple, but it's the size of the cuts that will give you the look that you would like. So, I hope that you will use this tool in your tool belt, that you will enjoy it, and that you can put it to good use, as well as framing your Celtic pumpkin, or any piece, not just the Celtic pumpkin. You can look at any place for canvases and make sure that they're the right size, staple them on. You could have bound it with wool and then stapled it on with the wool. It's up to you. It's for the look that you would like. So, I hope that you have enjoyed this. I want to wish each of you a very happy Thanksgiving. I hope you enjoy it. There are no calories at the Thanksgiving Day table, and that you enjoy the food, family, and fun. Thank you, and we'll see you in December. Bye for now.